a strong lemon margarita. Yeah, baby. She is the queen of radio. PATU LOCA has arrived on Paul Santisi Music Mastermind Radio.
Welcome, everybody. Once again, this is me, Miss PATU LOCA. Miss PATU LOCA tonight on the Get Inside Me show on Spreaker Radio. Of course, as you guys know, I have been collaborating with my favorite buddy, my favorite friend, Mr. Paul Santini. And I know you guys are like, okay, she's always talking about this Paul Santini. That's because that he is actually, other than Melodic Mike, for a lot of you listeners and viewers know that I talk about people that I actually talk to, hang out with and have conversations, real talk and things. Paul Santini has to be one of the biggest influences in my life outside of family. And what's so exciting is that, of course, that if you guys are paying attention, we've been collaborating a bit. You can also check out his Music Mastermind station on YouTube and on his Facebook channel, his Facebook page on for the Music Mastermind. The links are all in the description down below. I have been also interviewing a lot of his fascinating artists, and I call these artists you ought to know. And the reason I call them artists you ought to know is because a lot of times people lose track, and a lot of times when these artists blow up, people are like, whoa, this is like overnight success. And it's like, no, this is something that's always been out there, but I'm letting you guys hear it first. Last week, as you guys heard, we had the perfect violin. So I had to take it from that to Taylor Love the previous time before, then Mr. Aaron Green and Tweezay, and today we have someone special. Mrs. Special, please say hello to the listeners.
Hi, this is Sempiternity.
Now, Miss Sempiternity, what I wanted to ask you was, how did you get that name? And what does it mean?
I always had a hard time, choosing words that fit for me, and I never really cared to have a music name unless it just came to me. And I actually was sitting on my couch one day, and it was silent, and I just was sitting there thinking, and I was like, I'll just think of a word, and it'll just come to me. And then I just heard the word Sempiternity, and I said, that's it. That must be it. So I actually looked up the meaning of the word to see if it was even real, and it is, and it means for all eternity. So basically, how I take it is that my music will live on forever. Now,
we had a previous discussion before we got live on the show, and what was so interesting is that you're the first person I've ever interviewed that actually asked me a question about me, because usually I always get questions about the show and things.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So that's why I was like, whoa, that's different. I haven't, because I'm always doing asking the questions.
I think it's important to, ask the person who's asking you things. I wanted to know what got you into this business as well, because it's amazing to take an interest in other musicians and artists and ask them questions. So I'm curious the same about you.
No, but what I found so funny was that you and me fell into the same boat. Our story is similar. For those of you guys who may not know, of course, my mom was like a fake model because she was short when she came from the Caribbean island to America. Of course, in my mom's side of the family, you have a lot of singers and things. My mom also had albums out in her country and things. And so I was always wanting to be in the background. So it was just so crazy how I always ended up being around very artistic people. May they have been writers, actors, singers, writers. And for me, I've always wanted to be a fashion designer, which is crazy.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I always wanted to be in the background. And
yep.
I don't know if it's because I've always hung out with such artistically talented people that are always going to auditions and things, and I'm always going with them as support, that I always fell into it. So that's how I ended up getting into entertainment interviewing, because a lot of people you ask a lot of interesting, intriguing questions. You make me feel comfortable. Have you ever thought of it? I'm like, no. So it's so crazy when I asked you, how did you get into music? And you're like, what, it's just something I found I was good at, and people were in demand.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. For me, when I started music, I was so tiny. I was probably 4 or 5. My dad was a guitarist and the lead singer of a band, and my mom was in it too. She was also the backup singer or lead singer to certain songs, and she was the bassist. So I grew up with parents that were already in bands and always encouraged me with music. I ended up teaching myself how to play guitar and naturally could always sing. And I just practiced every day, and I did it because I enjoyed it, and it wasn't because I had to. And I've really been relaxed about my music, and I've just been completely myself and not judged it, because you can't judge anything that you do because it's going to be how it turns out no matter what you think of it. So I just let it be itself and allow people to enjoy it.
Now, for you, the interesting thing that I found was that you have a YouTube channel, and you also,
I do have a YouTube channel, yes.
And I got to check you out, check out your videos and things. And one of your videos that stuck out to me was that you said that for anyone who would like to have someone to write music for them, maybe about love, maybe about breakups, whatever, tell me, let me get your vibe, and I can write it for you.
Yeah, I'm really a good lyricist and poet, whatever you want to call it. It all turns into music somehow. And I can take people's stories and write from their perspective, because when I do write songs, it's never from my own perspective. People go, oh, what's that song about? I go, I don't really know, but I felt like this person today, and I felt like they needed to talk about this. It's never really anything I plan, but it's like when an author writes a story. They don't write it about themselves. They write it about the character they're thinking of. So that's pretty much how I write my songs. They just come out like that. And I figured I could do the same with people in general. If there was an actual individual that wanted a song written and they gave me a story to write about, it could be really easy to flow off of.
So for you, what is your more because for your genre of music, you fall into a lot. You fall into indie, you fall into acoustic, universal, meditative, and then you also part of the collective of the Mastermind Music. So like,
yes.
For you, what's your favorite genre, or for you, music is just
well,
music?
I feel like when you give a music a genre label, it's more for the people outward, and I don't really write music for the people necessarily. I write it for myself, and I've never given myself a genre, because when you give yourself one name, you're limiting yourself to that one type of music. So all of a sudden, if I decided, well, I'm going to try a rock song, well, then all of a sudden my genre is rock. But then I can do something on the piano, it's going to be really soft and whatever. So I never really give myself one genre. I really think that I'm my new own type of music.
So when you say that, okay, for any artist out there that would like to have someone to write a song, a good song, contact you. And for you listeners, you'll find everything about her, all her information and links in the description box down below. But is there like a favorite type of song that you like to write about? Like, do you like to write about heartbreaks more than love songs, or I'm gonna get you sucker type music? Like, do you have
Honestly, with that answer, it's really the same, because it depends. It really depends. I don't have a favorite, and I would say, honestly, universal. All my songs are really about figuring out the world, but it all comes from different perspectives and connecting through the mental capacity of everybody's mind, you know. I think that we can all connect in really important ways, and that there are so many different ways to connect with people that there's not one favorite thing you can limit it to, because everything's changing all the time. And so writing music, it really doesn't have a limit to it, so I don't have a favorite. I might have a favorite song or two here and there, but it might be about the way it feels, not really what it's about.
Now, have you ever blown anyone away when you're saying, yeah, I write music, and then they actually heard you and were like, whoa?
Yeah, a lot of people, just because the way my talking voice sounds, they don't expect an elegant voice to come out, and I think that I've really proven myself to be a good musician, and I surprise a lot of people because I'm really laid back, and they wouldn't expect something so drastic to come out of me, I guess. And, you know, people that get to know you as a person, when you're their friend, they go, oh, you're just my friend, you know, you're a normal person. But then when they hear that, they go, wow, you are amazing. Or it goes like this, when someone doesn't know me and they listen to my music and like it already, and they go, wow, it'd be really cool to meet this person. And then they meet me thinking it's going to be maybe a pedestal that I'm on or something, and I'm not. And then I turn out to be a really nice, chill, fun person to hang out with, and they go, wow, you know, you're really cool. I thought your music was good, but you're a cool person. So it really can go either way on that, too.
So for you, when did you know that, other than when people told you, did you always know before you found or felt like this is my, I guess I should try this? Did you always know that you had a good voice? Because when I heard you singing for, one of my favorite songs was the one that you did for the Paul Santini Music Mastermind. But when I heard it, I'm like, whoa, like you reminded me so much of like the classic singers from the 90s, like when they were doing when indie rock was big.
Oh yeah, I always
like
knew
Melissa
I always
Etheridge
liked to sing,
and
I never really thought of it as like what I sounded like. I thought of it as I did it because I liked it, no matter what I sounded like, and because of that practice and because of the confidence is what makes you sound really good. So even if you're not that good, keep doing it anyways. And when your confidence grows, your voice will grow more strong, and you will sound better than you did before. So a lot of that is just I really liked to do it, and it wasn't for anybody else. It was just for me, and then it ended up being, well, people really like this, so I guess I'll keep doing it. You know, I think I would be going a bit slower if it were just for me now, but I guess, you know, since I've been working with Paul Santisi for about 3 years, I think, it's been going really well and fairly fast-paced, and it's been nice, and I've been creating with some motivation. So now that I have a motive, it's been more fluent, and I've been creating a lot quicker. But, you know, other than that, I always knew it was something I loved. I never expected to make a career out of it, but it is looking like it's going down that road, and I'm excited.
Now, for you, how did you get into how did you meet Paul Santini?
I met Paul Santisi through his meditations. I actually was listening to, I was listening to the Paul Santisi Third Eye meditation is what I think I was listening to. And I listened to a lot of them, but I actually just messaged him, and I think I said something like, you know, you really should start up a music thing. And I don't know exactly what I said, but I got a message back, and we ended up talking on the phone, and he had some things planned, and he already had 2 artists talking to him, which is Jaden in Australia and Tweezy in North Carolina, and they're both amazing musicians.
Yes.
And so I remember those were the first 2, and I was the 3rd person, I believe, and we just started off from there, and we had these plans going, oh, it might end up like this, and it has grown so much over the years. So that's really where it started, and then Paul just became my good friend, and Tweezy became a big brother to me, so that grew that little family even closer.
Now, for you, when writing the music that you did for the Music Mastermind, like for you, like, because I always hear from artists when they say there are times when they write music that they'll fall into some like type of trance without realizing it, and it's not until they hear it play back like, well, I did this song, I don't remember making this song.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of it is I don't tend to try to write it. I'll put my phone on record, and I'll just jam out some sound on the guitar, and then I'll just sing to it, and it'll be completely improv. And then I listen back and go, oh, that's what I said. Okay, I have to write that down and practice it now that I played it once, and I have to learn it as a technical song. My last song I wrote was technical. I sat down and I wrote the lyrics, which I never ever do. So I finally did it, and it turned out great. It's a new thing for me to be very technical with music, but typically I'm just very relaxed and just throw it out there and go, oh, wow, that's what I said. So yeah, it's really, basically you're channeling in this information going, you really need to sing this out loud. You know, it's not really you. And a line in my new song, it kind of reminds me of my way of producing music. Because, you know, when you're thinking, you don't really own your thoughts. Those are whatever else out there, the ether or just the whole world. And you're just hearing these thoughts, and you can translate it and decide if it's for you or not. And my line in the song is, actually, I don't remember it because I just don't focus on my lyrics very much, but it says, you know, if the voice inside is me, then who's listening? Or the other way around, you know, if I'm listening, then who's talking in there? So a lot of it, yeah, is just channeled through. I'm not really sure who writes it. I just come up with it out loud.
Now, for you, do you ever have times where, since you write music, since you say there's, you're now doing this thing where you're actually writing it instead of before how you were just singing, and then you're like, "How? Okay, this is how I'm gonna do it," which is kind of cool because, you know, to think of the fact that you just jam out and then you listen to yourself and you're teaching yourself what you just jammed out to. I've never heard of that before, but that's fascinating. That's true.
It's just fun. I don't know. I mean, that's the way I do it because it's like I said, it's just a flow through. It just comes out. It's not like I'm trying to sing those words. I basically find a melody. I feel a feeling that's not necessarily my own. Sometimes it's really close to acting because you're basically pretending your whole way through something and going, oh, that's what that is.
Now, the question I actually had was that, for you, do you ever find it where you're performing your songs and then you forget some of your lyrics and you actually have the people in the audience sing you back your own song?
Well, no, not necessarily, because I actually don't remember any of my lyrics ever. But I have the lyrics in front of me. I have a really, really bad memory, so I always have my lyrics in front of me when I'm singing. And I haven't actually done a lot of live performances, and when I have, it was always a new or an opening act, so people hadn't really heard of me yet. So as far as that goes, I don't think I've had enough publicity and songs out there yet, but I'm getting there, and I've had people get my songs stuck in their head, and they're singing this song to themselves and going, wow, this is really good. And they go to look on their phone to see who it is, and they go, oh yeah, that's my friend Sydney, you know? So that's cool for them when they find out it was my song. But other than that, I haven't had that happen live, but I expect it to happen one day.
Now, to you, is there a difference in writing music with intent, like with positive intentions when you're doing music for the Music Mastermind, compared to music that you do on the daily? Or to you, it's pretty much because you're spiritual, it doesn't matter. You just always put positive intent anyway?
There's always positive intent because I've never written a song with anger or with madness or with, I mean, there's been sadness, but it's always been through a good reinforcement. Like if I am sad or if I am pretending a sad feeling through a song, I imagine relating to somebody. Maybe someone out there in this world is going through this exact moment, so the reason the song is being made is for that person. I don't know the person, and I don't know why the song's being made, but what if there's that one person that accidentally listens to my song and goes, oh my God, that's my situation right now, and they just float on that song for however long in their life. You know, we can have one song impact us for the rest of our lives, and I could be that musician with that one song that impacts their life.
Have you ever had any songs that you written and someone was so, like, enamored by the music, like, oh my goodness, like you spoke to me in this, and little did they know you were just writing? Like, you know how at times, like for instance, for me, like there are times when I write stuff, like I can watch something or listen to something and it has me in some thought that I'll post a comment and people are like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm like, no, it's not me, you know. But then
you're just putting it out there.
Yeah. So have you ever had like a heartbreak song, a love song, or anything where someone's like, man, you're totally in my head, I feel you?
Like had an impact on a specific person? Yeah, I have. I've actually, you know, brought people to tears with it. They go, wow, I can relate to this so much. Like, what did you write this about? And I said, obviously I wrote it for you. I didn't know that, but you were obviously meant to hear it. And it's not always just one person. It could be many people relating to the same thing, which is almost more empowering because people don't feel so much alone when they listen to a powerful song or a powerful feeling. And, you know, it's not always about the instrument or about the voice. It's about the words sometimes, and sometimes it's the opposite. It's not about the words, and it's just about the way it sounds to a person, and they can feel it all the way through and go, wow, that song I really needed that today. You know, I have a cousin who I don't see much, and he's a very good friend. He lives in Southern California, and he'll be having a hard day sometimes, and he just listens to my song and just feels 100% better. And same with me. I have a best friend who's like 5,000 miles away, and I listen to their music constantly because I'll just, you know, if I have a bad day, I want to have a go-to music as well. And I listen to their music and go, wow, that changed my whole aspect of my day and that things are all right.
Now, for yourself, seeing that you said Tweezay is like a big brother to you, which is really cool because it's like you guys are both connected through the Music Mastermind through Paul Santisi. Can you see yourself ever collaborating with him or any other artists that are involved with the Paul Santisi Music Mastermind?
Yeah, I would love to. If I get that opportunity, if I have a good recording system and, an audio system, I would love to. I don't necessarily have the qualifications right now, but I think a lot of times I've wanted to work with other artists. I think it'll happen when everybody's ready, and I definitely think that my voice could be a really cool spin on Tweezey's music or someone else's music, and I think that his taste would be a good spin on my music as well, because they're very different, and I think they could come together quite nicely.
Who are your most who are your top 3 favorite artists that you're like,
my
whoa?
biggest influence is my favorite artist.
Yes.
You can't really hear it come out through my music, but my biggest motivations are Maynard James Keenan from Tool and A Perfect Circle. So him in that band, Tool and A Perfect Circle, they're very intricate bass bands. Their instruments and their lyrics are always metaphorical and poetic, and their instruments are so intricate and smart. They always use intelligence in their music. So that's my first one. My second one is instrumental, and it's a band called Intervals, and it's a specific EP I like by them called The Space Between. Free advertising for these artists. But they are so talented. They make their guitars sing, and they use 8-string guitars, 8-string electrics, probably extended neck, I'm not sure, but they are amazing musicians, and I can memorize their harmonies and melodies in their guitar as if it were my voice. So in a way, I use it as training, and it makes me smarter when I listen to really intricate instruments. So I really enjoy that. And then with my last one, I really like Deftones. And I guess I would say Evanescence too, because her vocal training is what has helped me a lot. She's a very opera-based rock singer,
Yes.
really slow, dark rock, and I really like that. So her voice has helped me. But yeah, as far as instruments and creativity goes, I would say Tool, Intervals, and Deftones. Deftones because they're so different from any other band that I've heard, and I've enjoyed their solo style, whether it be their lyrics or the instruments or their off notes or flat notes. I actually really enjoyed his raw voice. And so, yeah, those are my influences.
Now, for you, we did talk previously where you were saying right now you're also working again to drop another album for the Music Mastermind. I wanted to know if you're going to drop another album outside of the Music Mastermind. Like, do you have any up-and-coming projects or tours coming up?
Well, no, I mainly do singles because, like I said, I don't have a form of recording at the moment, so I basically give song after song. But Paul and I are working on a little collaboration right now, and I don't do tours. I'm basically in the same small town that I was born in, and I haven't left, and I would like to get up to Oregon and do some music. But as far as tours and shows go, I don't really do it. I'm more, at the moment, an internet artist. That's as far as I've been able to get. It's gotten me a lot further, If I'm ever in a bigger town, I think I'll do a lot more of that. And yeah, I am working on some music right now. I have 2 new songs, and I'm sure I'm about to make some more soon.
Now, with all that being said, is there was there ever a turning point in your life that made you say, if I were to think back, this was like the golden moment that made everything in my life change?
Did I have a golden moment?
Yes.
Well, last night I was talking to Paul, and we were talking about, wow, even though this is the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of this project, 3 years ago when we were talking and we had ideas, we never knew it was going to get to this point, but it's really amazing that it has. So this, in a way, last night was my golden moment because it was like, wow, we are really getting somewhere with this, and we knew we could, but it's still cool to really look down on yourself and go, look what I'm doing right now, look at what is happening. This is progressive. We're really getting somewhere. And so when you look back 3 years or however many years, and then you look ahead and go, where are we going to be in another 3 years? Where are we going to be in 3 years after that? So I think every time you have an epiphany, that's a really golden moment. And I think we really had one of those last night.
Well, I mean, as you always say, well, as I always say, Paul is definitely like my most favorite person to talk to. And it seems like the great thing I love about him is I always catch him when he's not busy. Because he's such a busy guy. So it's just so great how the universe and how God works it out, where I always catch him when he's not that busy. Now, I heard you mention earlier that the Third Eye video was your most favorite video.
Yes.
Now, for me, my favorite video was the I Am video. Like, that video resonated in me like no other video. I mean, I love all his videos, but everyone has, like, that one video that caught them in, like, you know, caught them in the hook of the Santini and pulled them into the boat. And I could say the I Am was, like, the most signifying, vibrating video I ever heard. The Third Eye?
I learned a lot from that one, too.
Yes. The Third Eye? Oh, my gosh.
Go ahead.
The Third Eye video, I freaked out because I literally felt the third eye. Like, you know how you do your exercises of moving your eye with your finger? I called him freaking out. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this never happened. Because, you know, I'm like, okay, you're just doing some, you know, you're doing, you know, meditation. How real is it? But I'm gonna try it. When I tried the Third Eye was the very first video I've ever done.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
See, exactly. And it's the most real thing you're ever gonna feel. And his meditations are very, very strong, and they're honest. That's the thing about them. They're honest, and they're nonchalant. They're relaxed. You know, it's not like he's trying to get you to do something that you're inhumanly capable of, you know. You're absolutely able to do this. And, you know, whether you believe in it or not, it ends up happening and you go, wow, this is magical.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely say that. So, seeing that you're going to be dropping, you have 2 other albums, how long does it typically take you to make a song? Or are you just influenced by...
Albums are about 12 songs. I haven't dropped any albums. It's not like that. I do singles more so. So, how long does it take me to write a song? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
It can take me typically like 10 or 15 minutes because I just sing it and get it over with. But if I'm really trying, then it could take me an hour for 2 days. So that would be like 2 hours. But typically it doesn't take me very long. If I focus too long on it, I end up, you know, not necessarily getting frustrated, but more getting burnt out, and I get over that song too quickly, and I don't want to do it anymore, so I quit, you know, because I go, okay, I'm not feeling that anymore, and I just kind of trash that one. So typically I get them done really fast, and that way I love it a lot more.
15 minutes, that has to be a record. That has to be a record. Do you ever have other artists that when you're writing music and you're like, done, they're looking at you, excuse me, finish already?
Yeah, actually, I was recording with my friend Mariah one time, and she says, you know, it's really refreshing to work with an artist who works a different way than me, because she can take months and months and months on one song, and for me, I get it done in one night. I'm like, okay, this is done. And she goes, wow, you know, it's not that she goes, wow, that's really cool. It's more just an observation for her. She goes, wow, you know, that's different from what I normally do. So it's pretty cool. I like it, and I like to see other people watch me work. Because it's funny. It ends up being humorous.
Well, do you have any last words or last advice that you would like to share with the Get Inside Me show listeners and the Music Masterminds?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that I always say is if you're going to be doing something, don't judge yourself and do it for you, because if you don't do it for you, you might not always enjoy it, but you can always enjoy something you did, and people are going to like it or not. So I think when you end up doing something for yourself, as far as music or acting or anything, people are going to end up more liking it when they realize that you like it too.
You know, just thank you, Paul. That's all I got to say is thank you, Paul, so much for connecting me tonight with Miss Sempiternity for the Music Mastermind. If you guys would like to know more and actually listen to the song I was talking about, you can definitely check her out on her YouTube channel, her Facebook channel, her music band Facebook channel, and the song that I also loved, which was one of my favorite, which was the one that you had from the Music Mastermind. You'll find the link in the description box down below. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. And don't forget to check out Paul Santini. You'll find the links down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, Because remember, sharing is caring with everything in the Get Inside Me show and everything dealing with the Music Mastermind. I am your host, Miss PATU LOCA. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for listening. Catch you guys next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Get Inside Me show, streaming live on Spreaker Radio.